I want to start by thanking you for doing this documentary because it is really a fight for a lot of us to get our voices heard. And I want to know first how you two met and when did you decide to do this documentary? Or if you can tell me a little bit.
Well, sure. It started with Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams, had founded this organization called Fair Fight, and she was committed to finding a way to make a documentary about the history of voting rights. She didn't want a documentary about her race, about any one political party or candidate, because at the end of the day, it's irrelevant. What's relevant is the hundreds of years of history, which has produced a moment, has produced an election like the 2018 Georgia gubernatorial election, where over 1.4 million people were purged from the rolls, where, lines were, polling places didn't have equipment for people's votes to be counted, where the Secretary of State, the man who was making the rules of the election, was her opponent. I mean, it was a perfect storm. But if you just look at that one story, you're not seeing the whole big picture, because there have been hundreds of years in the making towards creating this current moment. Lisa and I knew each other as colleagues, and I had a great deal of respect from her for making her film, about the Apollo Theater and other films she'd worked on. So called her up, and I think she liked the idea too.
So from the very beginning, there was always some laws that they were designed to suppress certain population, the rights to vote. While doing the documentary, there were some of these laws that surprised you that you weren't aware of them, or did you find something while doing the documentary that shocked you?
Well, I think it's, we look at the inception of our country, and only 6% of the population, white, male landowners, could vote. And so you see that entrenched in the Constitution is actually language that not everyone has the right to vote. So it isn't surprising. It's just how long progress takes, but also through time, how the movement to restrict the vote takes on a different face. As Liz mentioned, it might be, poll closures or purges that are happening now. And, if we were to go back in time, it is the literacy test. But we can look at the parallels now of where there's talk of having law enforcement at the polls, and then the parallel with, the intimidation that African Americans and other people of color encountered with the bully clubs and the dogs, intimidation of a different face, but with the same purpose.
Thank you so much for doing this. This is really good for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.